Here we are doing a 4-3-2-2 M13 draft. First pack. Fortunately, it's door to nothingness, so not terribly impressive. We also have Servant of Nephirox and Essence Drain. Crusader can be okay, and Prized Elephant is solid too, but I think I'm probably going to take the Essence Drain. It's easy to splash, and it is removal. I think the Servant would have probably been next, or going with Prized Elephant because there wasn't much else white. That way we're not passing the signal that black's open like we just did. Vampire Nocturnus, unless you're very heavy black, isn't very useful. Limited. Acidic Slime's always amazing. Fortunately, going to take the Nocturnus. We can try the Force Black and grab a few vampires over time, but since it's been passed, it's evident that at least the person to our right has no desire to be playing it. We'll see. It's not the best pick in the pack, but it is worth the most money, and that's something to consider when you're just doing a quick draft on here. Alright, so we got Sign in Blood and Duty Bound Dead. Actually going to go with the Exalted guy, but Sign in Blood is pretty solid as well. And it can be used to kill your opponent, which is something to keep in mind. Voidstalker. It's kind of odd to see this late, and I think it's going to be what we take. The other option, probably Mindclaw Shaman or the Water Cursor, is not bad. But Voidstalker is a great ability. He's pseudo-removal that can be used repeatedly. You can also use his trigger and then unsummon him. I've had mixed results with the Ghoul. If you're very heavy black, I mean, obviously he's good. Like Jace's Phantasm as well, and Sign in Blood. I think just the fact that it's a repeatable attacker makes the Ghoul worth considering. And we're likely to still get a Sign in Blood. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Veilborn Ghoul. Here again, it's more awkward. Red seems to be pretty open. I'm assuming because of the Mindclaw Shaman. Harbor Serpent is pretty much terrible and limited. Obviously, unless your opponent's playing blue as well, in which case he can just win the game. I'm going to go with the Shaman at this point. We'll see. Wild Guess is okay. Index is alright. Nothing else is really that impressive. We might end up in a deck that can run Trumpet Blast, so we'll take it, but it seems unlikely. Visionaries, they're pretty late, although I think we're going to take the Chandra's Fury just because it's in color. Fungal Sprouting's pretty good too. Back to our original pack, so probably just going to go with our Hatchling. Bloodthrone Vampire. At this point, I'd probably take Smelt over the Hatchling, but we might want to be playing more guys. I imagine we'll still see a Smelt. It's a great utility card, and that should be considered. Just having flyers is very, very useful and limited, even if they only have fire breathing. Yeah, Mindclaw Shaman came back, and I think we're just fine. Well, actually, Reckless Brute. Although he doesn't have Trample, can get in for some damage used appropriately, and can normally force a trade as well. Just going to go ahead with the Index there. Kindled Fury, which can be useful. Unfortunately, it doesn't stop most of the removal, so it's not as good as like Titanic Growth or the like, but is better full killing like any death-touching creature, the spiders primarily. Stormtide Leviathan, indeed. So Elixir of Immortality is okay. We have no real red stuff to support us, and nothing in the way of black. Crippling Blight, solid removal. Considering taking the Leviathan, because if he ever does get played, you tend to win. But we're pretty solidly in red now. So I guess Crippling Blight, passing the Leviathan, although that seems very awkward. Our black isn't even that good yet. But I think that's Crippling Blight is probably what we're going to go with. Got a Phoenix, probably the best call. Also of note is the Giant Scorpion, Scroll Thief, of course. Oof. Well, the rest is solid, but not what we really want to be going with. Wall of Fire to stop early things. Awkward as that is too. Maybe take Talrun Summoning just so we don't have to deal with it, because the Wall of Fire will probably come around. Ravenous Rats is solid. Fairy Invaders too. We really should have been in blue. Yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and take the Fairy Invaders and maybe try to shift our Keller at this point. Welkin Terran. Although Blade Tusk Boar is pretty good too. Yeah, we're going to go with the Boar. It's more likely to be played at this point. Torch Fiend, Krenko's Command. Well, Artifact removal seems fine. Vedalken Entrancer is worth considering because mill is a valid strategy in limited. Especially with how easy it is to pick up a few of him and a few Mind Sculpts. Harbor Bandit's an amazing card, and it's really late to see him, but it's unlikely we would play black-blue, unless maybe as a splash. And we might be able to get that gem up Becoming if it comes back around. Other options are Chandra's Fury, or just taking the Windrake. So we would hide him and him. Have the Harbor Bandit. Red-blue, Splash, or Harbor Bandit, maybe? Rewind is probably the best card in the pack, followed by another Smelt. Entrancer seems fine. We'll be shifting in the blue now, I guess. And there's the Gem of Becoming that we can take to try to justify our earlier pick. So hide the Blood Throne, hide the Duty Bound Dead. Probably not going to play Crippling Blight either. It'll just be the Harbor Bandit and Essence Drain. I didn't really expect our draft to evolve like this. Duress is still the better card. Merfolk Pearl Trident's pretty terrible. 1/1 for 1 is just so far from ideal nowadays. And our last pack. Hopefully with something better than Door to Nothingness or Battle of Wits. Hellion Crucible, but there is a Fog Bank. Fog Bank or Archaeomancer, but I think Fog Bank's just far too useful of a card. Forcing them to use removal on a 0-2 is a pretty good situation to be in Limited. Bloodhunter Bats is great. Fortunately, we've moved out of it. Rummaging Goblin, always love looters, but I think the Searing Spear is our best call. We're certainly lacking decent removal. Sleep or Fog Bank. That's a pretty difficult choice, but I think we're going with Sleep, as it does tend to just win the game. There's almost no chance we'll see the Fog Bank come back. Rise from the Grave, solid, as is Mark of the Vampire, but I still think Sleep's the best card in the pack. Worldfire, indeed. So Scroll Thief, certainly solid. Maybe we'll be able to get a Trick of the Trade, something along those lines to carry him through. Kite Sail, too, also makes that kind of valid. Try that route. Reverberate, Cleaver Riot, Furnace Whelp, maybe? Angelic Benediction or the Bloodhunter the Bat is the best card in the pack. Yeah, I think we'll go with the Flyer here. Almost just seems like it's worth it to completely remove the black so we don't have to play the gem. It's unfortunate that I settled on these colors so late. Would have much preferred not to have shifted out, but black completely dried up. Tormented Soul, I guess. Ravenous Rats. The Howling Crucible is a solid enough land, but I think we're going with Tricks of the Trade. Just the chance to have our Scroll Thief or, one of our even smaller guys making a Fire Breather unblockable seems quite fine. Take the Fire Elemental just to have a big guy. Mark of the Vampire, Reckless Brute, another Fire Elemental. It's well not ideal. I think it's still quite a playable draft deck. Alright, so we're going to run Kite Sail, Torch Fiend, both hatchlings. Going to just straight up the line for us here. Alright, and then on the more defensive side, we have the blue. By mana cost. Ugh. Non-existent of a curve as that is. 16 creatures. I think we're going to go ahead and I don't know. Trumpet Blast is what I would consider the iffy one here, so I think we'll go ahead and just remove that. Everything else seems for the most part fine. 9-7. Although we have a lot of double blue, we have the fire breathing as well. Still seems fine.